Jai.
Jai.
So what did we see in the previous class? We are in chapter number
9.
Chapter number 9. What is the title of chapter 9?
The most confidential knowledge.
The most confidential knowledge. So the Bhagavad Gita gives us confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, and most confidential knowledge. So what is confidential knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita? What is confidential knowledge in the Gita? What is more confidential knowledge in the Gita? And what is most confidential knowledge in the Gita? No one? Okay, so here it is. Confidential knowledge is knowledge about the soul and the body, which we need to know, which we need to understand as the basics for liberation. We have to know that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. So that knowledge which Krishna gives us more in chapter 2 is confidential knowledge, guhya. And more confidential knowledge is devotional service, that is guhyataram. And most confidential knowledge is guhyatamam, which talks about pure devotional service. So when somebody approaches the Lord expecting something in return, then yes, that is devotional service, but that is not pure devotional service. But when one approaches the Lord without expecting anything in return, only to serve the Lord, with the only desire to serve the Lord, only out of love for God, and renders devotional service, then that is pure. And that pure devotional service is what is guhyatamam, most confidential knowledge. So we are in the middle of the middle section of the Bhagavad Gita. Middle section of the Bhagavad Gita is the middle 6 chapters, and the middle of the middle 6 chapters is chapter 9 and 10. So see, the title is so apt, no? Most confidential knowledge. Okay, so what have you seen in this chapter so far? In the previous class, we finished up with second verse because in the previous class, we had left it in between. So in our previous class, we finished analyzing Sukham and Avyayam. In 9.2, Krishna is glorifying Bhagavad Gita by calling it Raja Vidya Raja Kuhyam, king of education. It's the king of the most secret of all secrets. And then he says that it is Pavitram Idam Uttamam, it is the purest, it is Pratyaksha Vagamam, it gives direct perception of the self. It is Dharmyam, it is the perfection of religion. It is Sukham, very, very easy to perform, and it is joyfully performed. And Avyayam, it is everlasting. So when we analyzed Sukham and Avyayam in our previous class, we saw the example of the poor Brahman who was very poor. He did not have the means, financial means, to be able to purchase nice food stuff and offer it to the Lord, but he had the desire. So how did he do? How did he fulfill his desire? By mentally preparing everything and mentally offering to the Lord. And how we saw that his finger actually got burned when he made the offering, when he was testing the temperature of the food. So which means the Lord actually accepted his service. So it is Sukham. It can be joyfully performed. There is no excuse why one should not perform bhakti. And Avyayam, when we did Avyayam, we saw how it is eternal. Once we start off our devotional service, then Krishna ensures, he creates the situation where we will ultimately reach the finishing line. So whatever we gather in our spiritual bank balance stays with us, even life after life after life. Nothing is lost. So we are in a win-win situation when we render devotional service. Material calculation is just the opposite. Material calculation is whatever we gather materially, we have to let go of everything at some point, and at death, everything is taken away from us. Fame, beauty, properties, wealth, everything is taken away from us at the time of death, snatched away, and we have to start again from the beginning. But spiritual calculation is the opposite. Whatever we have, even if it is just 0.1%, we take it with us in the next life. So I added this slide after our class. I thought it would be very apt for explaining or understanding Sukham. So anyway, before we start off with today's class, let's recite a mantra to invoke auspiciousness. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I cannot hear anyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we need 2 volunteers to read today. Who can read?
And take the chance.
Okay, Naresh can take the translations. Thank you, Naresh. And one more volunteer for the other text. Who can read? Harman, would you like to read the other text?
Okay, sure. No problem.
Okay, thank you, Harman. So this is a slide which I added for Sukham, which we didn't do last time. Let's read the translation and the purport, please.
A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada therefore comments on the words Sarvatra Sarvada in the sense that the principles of bhakti yoga or devotional service to the Lord are apt in all circumstances. And that is, bhakti yoga is recommended in all the revealed scriptures. It is performed by all authorities. It is important in all places. It is useful in all cases and effects, etc.
So there is no one who is exempted from rendering devotional service. Whether one does it or not, that's a different question. But there's nobody who's exempted shastrically, who has said, okay, because you are in such a circumstance, or because you are living in such a time, or in such a place, or under such circumstances, or because you are such a person in the society, you are exempt from rendering devotional service. No, such a person, there is no such excuse that we have for not rendering devotional service. So say, imagine Arjuna is right in the middle of a war, and he has to face so many weapons, and he is seeing his loved family members in front of him, and he is such a condition. And one may think that, oh, how can I render devotional service in such a circumstance? But even to Arjuna, Krishna said, you do your duty, at the same time you have to think of me. So even Arjuna is not exempted from bhakti in the middle of that war. Somebody may say, oh, I'm young, when I'm old, I can render devotional service. But no, any person at any age group is not exempted. Just because somebody is young, somebody is very busy, or is in his youth enjoying life, it doesn't mean that he's exempted from rendering devotional service, and only people in their old age should render devotional service. No, at any time, whatever time it may be, wherever you are, whether you're the king or the president or the servant, or your whatever you are, one has to render devotional service. So Bhakti Yoga, Sarvatra Sarvada, in all space and time, under all circumstances, it must be followed. So, of course, Avyayam we did last time. And then we saw 9.3, where Krishna is talking about how a faithless person cannot attain him and will always remain in the cycle of birth and death. So what is the connection between 9.2 and 9.3? In 9.2, Krishna has glorified this knowledge, no, by saying it is Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram, Idam, Uttamam, Pratyaksha Dharmyam, Susukham Kartam Avyayam. So he has glorified this knowledge so much. So one may think that, oh, if this knowledge is so wonderful, it is so glorious, it is so great, then why don't people follow it? Then everybody should follow it, isn't it? Why do people not follow it? So Krishna answers this in 9.3 by saying that there is lack of faith. Ashraddha Dana, he says. So there are faithless people, and those faithless people will never be able to render devotional service. They will not be able to attain Krishna. So this is the connection between 9.2 and 9.3, which we also discussed in the previous class. And then we saw how there is a division of Krishna conscious people or devotees based on the kind of faith they have. So we saw Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Kanishtadhikari. Uttamadhikari, his faith is very strong, and at the same time, he can convince somebody else to take up devotional service or to render devotional service. That is an Uttamadhikari. Madhyamadhikari, his faith is very strong, but he is not able to inspire somebody else to render devotional service. And Kanishtadhikari, his faith itself is very soft and pliable. His faith is not strong at all. So therefore, if somebody comes up with a counter argument or somebody tries to brainwash him, then he gets brainwashed. So that's a Kanishta Adhikari. Okay. So we will start from this slide today to finish up with 9.3, and then we will continue as far as we can go. Please read.
CC Madhya 15.111. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then finally advised, one who is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is understood to be a Vaishnava. Therefore, you should offer all respects to him. CC Madhya 16.72. A person who is always chanting the holy name of the Lord is to be considered a first class Vaishnava, and your duty is to serve his lotus feet. CC Madhya 16.74. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, a first class Vaishnava is he whose very presence makes others chant the holy name of Krishna. CC Madhya 16.75. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught the distinctions between different types of Vaishnavas: the Vaishnava, the Vaishnavatra, and the Vaishnava. He thus successively explained all the symptoms of a Vaishnava to the inhabitants of Kulina Grama.
Okay, so now we previously we saw the different adhikaris, no? Uttam adhikari, Madhyam adhikari, and Kanishta adhikari. How devotees can be divided based on their faith. But who is a devotee? Because it's very important to understand uh, whom can we call a devotee when we say that one should not commit Vaishnava aparadh, or one should remain in the association of devotees, or one should hear from devotees. So who is a devotee? Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu solves this problem for us by explaining to us who is a devotee. So first of all, he says, anyone who chants the holy name of the Lord is a Vaishnava, is a devotee, and we have to serve that person. Then he takes it to a higher level and he says, one who constantly chants, always chanting, that person is considered to be a devotee. And then he says, a devotee is one in whose presence others feel inspired to chant the holy name. So again, there are different gradations of a devotee. But basically, if anyone is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, he is considered to be a devotee. And one should be careful not to offend that person. Okay, so these are different gradations given to us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In which book? What does CC stand for?
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Charitamrita.
Yes, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is divided into 3 sections. Adi Leela, Madhya Leela, and Antya Leela. Adi Leela is the beginning pastimes, Madhya Leela middle, and Antya is his final pastimes. So this is in the Madhya Leela section of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So with regard to faith, let's see a nice article that is written by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu in his website, GitaDaily.com. If you're interested to read more of these articles, you can go on his website and check them out. So let's read this.
Suppose a person carefully plants saplings in a garden, but on seeing no fruits forthcoming and thinking impatiently that no fruits will ever come, that person uproots those saplings. Practicing spiritual life is like planting saplings of positive devotional habits in the garden of our heart. Such saplings will yield the fruits of virtues, culminating in the supreme virtue of love for Krishna, and for all living beings in relationship with Him. However, the underlying character transformation takes time. But if we are impatient or not seeing results, we start getting doubts whether spiritual life is worth practicing. If we give in to such doubts, then we give up our spiritual practices and also end up diving into degradation inducing indulgences, thereby wreaking havoc in our inner garden. Thus, we tragically make even more inaccessible the very fruits that we were so impatient to get. Pertinently, the Bhagavad Gita 9.03 warns that the faithless remain trapped in worldly existence. Instead of giving in to our doubts, we need to rise above them. We must persevere in our spiritual practice and eventually relish the ultimate fruit of immortal spiritual love.
So don't uproot in doubt what was planted in faith. Let's say somebody loves mangoes and he has no option of going and purchasing in the supermarket like how we have nowadays. Previously, people would have their own small piece of ground and they would grow their fruits there. So let's say he wants to have mangoes and he's planting a mango seed. Now he is going to have some patience, right? He has to water it nicely, take care. The seed is going to grow into a plant, the plant into a tree, and then the tree is going to yield fruits. Now, if after doing that for a couple of years, he loses patience and he says, this is not giving me any mangoes. So he just uproots it. So what has he done now? He has distanced himself even more from having the opportunity to eat his homegrown mangoes, isn't it? Because let's say the mango tree is going to take some 5 years before it gives us fruit. So in 2 years, he has wasted those 2 years also, and now he has to redo the whole thing all over again. So he has increased the time that is going to take to get his mangoes. So same thing applies to our bhakti. When we start our devotional service, maybe it will take some time for us to get some realizations, for us to develop the taste for chanting. It will take some time. Initially, we may not like it so much, and probably we are doing it because our parents tell us, or an elderly devotee has told us, or because our spiritual master has given us this instruction. But probably we don't like to do it. It's maybe we don't look forward so much to chanting, and we feel that the restrictions are a bother. When I go out, when I'm with my friends, there are so many restrictions. I cannot eat whatever I want. So initially, it may cause some disturbances, and we may not develop the taste. We may not like it. We may not enjoy it. We may not get the realizations very quickly. But we have to have patience. We have to continue to take care of our Bhakti Lata Beach, the seed of devotional service, right? We have to water the seed of devotional service with our sadhana bhakti, and we have to take care of our bhakti creeper, so that the bhakti creeper will grow and grow and grow and grow, and definitely one day the bhakti creeper will reach Goloka. Just as how there may be a room that has been closed for many years and it has accumulated dust because it was never cleaned. Now we decide suddenly that I want to clean this room because I want to go and stay. I want to live in that room. So I take the broom and I start to clean the room. What happens? Because the dust, because nobody has cleaned the room for so many years, suddenly when I start cleaning the room, the dust is going to rise and it is going to enter my nostrils, my eyes. It's going to cause some disturbance. I may start sneezing, coughing. Yes. So that doesn't mean that I stop cleaning because it's causing that irritation. I continue to clean. I am persistent with it. I continue to clean it. And the time will definitely come when the room now is clean. It is spick and span, and I can stay in that room. So we have to persist. We have to persist and not give up. In the same way, when we start rendering devotional service, the dust that we have accumulated in our heart over so many lifetimes, so many millions of lifetimes, so many bodies we have changed, so many activities we have engaged in, good or bad, good karma or bad karma, and we have gathered so many impurities in our heart, right? So when we start to clean our hearts, when we start to render devotional service, the cleansing process has begun for the heart. And just as how that initial dust that rises in that dirty room is causing disturbance, the initial cleansing of the heart also may cause us some disturbance. We may not like it so much. But if we persist, we continue doing it day after day after day, we carry on with our sadhana. We don't give up. Then the day will definitely come when our hearts are clean of all anarthas, of all impurities, and we can see the Lord face to face. We can be embraced by Krishna. We can go back to Goloka Vrindavan. So we have to have patience and not give up. We continue to do it day after day after day. Maybe we see somebody else. Let's say there are two people. They both started devotional service together, but but the other person has very quickly had some realizations. But I am not able to have those realizations yet. So I may think, oh, something is wrong. That person is able to get those realizations. I am not able to get those realizations. Still, we have to persist. Still, we have to persevere in our efforts, because maybe the other person left his previous lifetime at 99% of devotional service, and only 1% he had to finish off in this lifetime. So therefore, he gets quicker realizations because he was more advanced in his spiritual life in the previous lifetime, right? But maybe I did only 1% in my previous lifetime, and I have 99% to complete. So I should not get disturbed when I see somebody else advancing, able to advance, or able to give up his anarthas, or able to advance very nicely, very quickly, whereas I am still struggling to follow the 4 principles. I am still not able to give up something because of because I'm not able to overcome my temptations. Yes. So we have to understand that everybody has a different starting point in this lifetime. Not everybody is beginning from zero. Everybody has different starting points. So therefore, some get quicker realizations and some get realizations late. But the good news is, irrespective of where we are beginning, we can definitely finish off in this lifetime. That is the good news. Srila Prabhupada has told us that if you chant 16 rounds every day and follow the 4 regulative principles, then you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So that is the good news, that irrespective of whether I start at 0.1% or I start at 99%, I can finish off in this lifetime. That is what we have to concentrate upon. Okay. And remember that we have to persevere in our efforts. Our daily sadhana has to be strong, day after day after day, with lot of patience. Just continue without losing the faith, without doubting the process. The process is perfect. There is no doubt that the process is perfect. Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, they have given us the perfect process for Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given us the perfect formula for realizing God in this age of Kali, because others have done it and they have attained perfection. We have seen so many examples of devotees in our Shastras. In the Srimad Bhagavatam is full of success stories of such devotees, isn't it? Where they have rendered devotional service and they have attained success. So the formula is correct. If we apply the formula correctly, definitely we will get the result. So there is no doubt that the formula is correct. We have to do the experiment correctly. Just as how a scientist, if he does the experiment correctly in the laboratory, he will definitely get the result. If the result is not coming, it doesn't mean that the formula is wrong. It means that probably he has made a mistake in the mixing of the salts or the acids, whatever it is. Okay. So we have to be rest assured that we have to have the faith that the process is correct. And even if it takes time, it will definitely give us the fruit. So we have to persevere. So with this, we come to the end of section 1. And now we will go to section 2. In section 2, Krishna talks about the Aishwarya Jnana. As we have discussed before, Krishna has 2 aspects, or absolute truth, or God has 2 aspects. One is the opulence aspect, and the other is the sweetness aspect, Madhurya. So Aishwarya and Jnana, opulence and sweetness. Here in this section, we will see, Aishwarya and Madhurya. Aishwarya and Madhurya, opulence and sweetness. So in this section, we will see Aishwarya Jnana, where Krishna is revealing about his inconceivable potencies. Let's read this.
Section 2, 9.4 to 9.10. Aishwarya Jnana, Krishna's relationship to the material world. Krishna explains his own Achintya Bheda, inconceivable relationship with the material world. Purpose. This gives us Aishwarya Jnana, knowledge of his opulences, to stimulate our revenge and devotion. Because of his unique and supreme position in relation with the material creation, Lord Krishna is the supreme object of worship.
Okay, so Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. We will see this. What is this Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva? Achintya means inconceivable. Bheda Abheda Tattva means there would be 2 statements which seem to contradict each other, but both statements are correct. Bheda Abheda, one and different at the same time. That is Bheda Abheda Tattva. So that is Achintya, that is inconceivable, because how 2 things can be the same and can be also different at the same time. That we will see in this section. Okay, so let's hear 9th point.
न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः न च मत्स्थानि मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः.
By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them.
So he's saying by me, Maya, not Maya. Okay, so this is Maya. The second day has a line on top. So this is Maya. Maya means by me. Maya has a different meaning. Maya is Durga Devi, from whom we have to stay away. We should not fall into illusion, Maya. So this is Maya, not Maya. So Maya tatam idam sarvam. He's saying that this entire universe is pervaded by him. How it is pervaded by him? Jagat, universe, avyakta murtina, by his unmanifested form. Avyakta. Vyakta means vyakt. It's obvious, it is manifested. But avyakta means it is unmanifested. So he has pervaded this universe in his unmanifested form, avyakta murtina. So we cannot see God by our gross material senses. We cannot see God by our gross material senses. How can we see God?
By bhakti,
By rendering devotional service. Yes, by rendering devotional service, then we can see God. Okay. Now he's saying Matsthani Sarva Bhutani. All the living entities are in me. Now in 9.4, he's going to say 9.5, I'm sorry, in 9.5, he's going to say the exact opposite of Matsthani Sarva Bhutani, okay, which we will see. So that's why it is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. And he's saying all beings are in me, but I am not in them. So he is connected, yet he is not connected with matter. Material world rests on him, but he is aloof from the material world. What he's saying here, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. So material nature rests on him, but he is aloof from the material nature. Yes, Mehak, you raised your hand.
Mataji, so why then how we tell Shiro Daksha Vishnu, he's in the heart of every living entity?
Yes, exactly. So that's why it's Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. He is there also, and he's aloof also. He's aloof in the sense that he does not interfere with the laws of material nature. Aloof in the sense that he is beyond the rules and regulations of the material realm. So therefore, we cannot blame Krishna for our actions. So Krishna says that he is a supreme controller, but at the same time, we have our minute independence. So we have our free will. So if we say that we have our free will, then what is the meaning to Krishna being our controller? And if Krishna is our controller, then what meaning is there to free will? So both statements are correct. That is why this is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, one and different at the same time. This is exactly what we are discussing in this.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes, so we will see now. Krishna tells the opposite of what he's saying. In 9.4, he's saying Matsthani Sarva Bhutani. 9.5, let us see what he is saying. So anyway, to understand this concept where Krishna is saying all beings are in me, but I am not in them. The thing that he is connected, yet he is not connected with matter. How the material world rests on him, but he is aloof from the material world. This example, this thing is explained by Srila Prabhupada by giving an analogy of a king. Okay, let's read these points first.
Can I read, Mataji?
No, we already have 2 people who have volunteered to read for the day. Maybe in the next class.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Maya tatam idam sarvam, all pervading. Lord pervades the entire universe. B. How he is all pervading. Avyatka murtina indicates in unmanifested form. We cannot see the Lord by our gross material senses. Only way to see the Lord, practice pure devotional service under proper guidance. See, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani. All beings are in me. Everything rests in Him. T. Nachaham Tesva Avastitha. I am not in them. The Lord, by all pervasiveness, does not lose his personal existence. Refute, refutes that since God is all pervading, he has lost his personal existence. Analogy: King heads the government and he is present in all departments by his energies.
So how is Krishna pervading the entire universe? In his Avyakta Murtina. So Avyakta Murtina in his unmanifested form. So we cannot see the Lord by our gross material senses. Usually an atheist, the first reason they give why they don't believe in God, they would say, because I have not seen God, no one has seen God, therefore God does not exist. So that's why Krishna is saying that he is in his unmanifested form. He cannot be seen by the gross material senses. We can see him when by rendering pure devotional service. Once Srila Prabhupada was told this, that no one has seen God, therefore God does not exist. So Srila Prabhupada said, how do you get that statistic that no one has seen God? Have you gone and asked every person on the planet whether you have seen God or no? No, the person has not done it. So how do you get the statistic that no one has seen God? Yes, there are people, there are self-realized souls who have seen God, but they're not going to go around advertising this to the rest of the world. Yes, this is something personal. This is not something that people would advertise. Anyone who renders pure devotional service day after day, definitely that day will come when one can see the Lord face to face. So let's see this analogy of the king heading the government here.
A king heads a government which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That is a crude example. Similarly, all the manifestations that we see and everything that exists both in this material world and in the spiritual world are resting on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creation takes place by the diffusion of his different energies. He is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies.
So he is present everywhere by his energy. So this entire material world itself is Krishna's energy, is Krishna's external energy. So he is present in the form of his energies, but still at the same time, he is detached from it. He does not interfere with the laws of material nature. So he is there and he is not there at the same time. Achintya, Bheda, Abheda, Tattva. So I just saw what Komal wrote in her chat. Is your question answered, Komal?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a story also, right? That when you go to Vrindavan,
Yeah.
after 6 in the evening, there's a place where you can hear after 6 o'clock. You can hear the flute played by Krishna.
I don't know if we can hear That I don't know, but there is a place where Krishna performs his Rasa Leela every
Yeah,
night. Yes, that's
yeah,
called. Yeah, I have been to that place.
and they say
So
that if a person comes out and if he tries to say anything to anybody, he goes mad. They like he's really mad. He becomes mad.
yeah, actually, no one is allowed to stay in that place.
No one is allowed to stay. Yeah.
Yeah, once it's sunset time, no, then everybody is asked to vacate the place, and they have a gate which is locked up, and nobody is allowed to enter. And when you go in during the daytime, you can go there, have darshan, and there is this place inside that place there is a small temple where the pujaris, they keep everything in order, the bangles, the clothes of the gopis, Krishna, it's very organized and kept in that one small room when they leave the place at sunset. And next morning when they open the temple, everything is uh, everything is out of its place. The clothes
Yeah.
are up and down, the bangles are all here and there, the flowers are all here and there. So every night Krishna performs his Rasa Leela in that place in Vrindavan. So that is a must to visit whenever you visit Vrindavan. I forgot the name of the place. Who remembers the name of the place? One second, let me see.
So must visit place only during the day, but in the night time it's not allowed, right?
No, nighttime you're not
No.
allowed. In fact, there was a TV show also. If you see in YouTube also, there are many videos. What is the secret of that place? So they have kept hidden cameras also in that place, but nothing, the cameras cannot capture anything. And if you see the trees in that place, no, the trees are the trees from the root itself, they are divided into two. Normally a tree, how does it grow? The trunk from the root, the trunk would be one, then it will branch out, two, three, four, whatever it is. But these trees from the root itself, they are branched into two or three, like that. These trees are, and the trees are very short. They are not very huge, tall trees. They're all very short trees. So it is these trees that convert to the gopis at night. And when you go there, the pujari will also show you that unorganized room. And in the TV shows, no, there was once a reporter. He said that I'm going to stand here all night and make sure that nobody enters this place. Not that somebody is doing an eye wash, just to attract the crowd. The pujaris, maybe they are just advertising that at night we keep everything in order. The clothes are folded, the bangles are displayed, the flower arrangements are nicely done, and everything else. And then they themselves unorganize everything and they tell people. So he said that I'm going to wait here all night and make sure nobody enters the premises. And they were recording live. No, I don't know if it was live, but they recorded and they showed the program on TV, and nobody entered. But as soon as the pujari came and he unlocked it and he went inside, these cameras also went behind him and they saw that everything was unorganized. Okay, so there are many videos on YouTube also that you can go and see. What is the name of that place? I'm forgetting. Mehek, I had sent it to you, no, last time. Do you remember the name of the place? Nidhuvan. Yes, Nidhuvan. Nidhuvan it
Okay.
is called. So when you go to Vrindavan, you must visit this place called Nidhuvan. Very, very nice must visit place.
Okay,
Okay.
Mataji, thank you.
Hare Hare Krishna. So let's go.
न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थो ममात्मा भूतभावनः.
And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very, very source of creation.
Okay. So what did he say? 9.4. Matsthani sarva bhutani. All the living entities rest in me. Now he said, na cha mat sthani bhutani. So nacha, they are not situated in me. They do not rest in me, he's saying. So now he's saying the opposite of what he said in 9.5. Now he's saying nacha mat sthani bhutani. So both statements are correct. Everything rests in him. At the same time, do not rest in him. So achintya bheda abheda tattva. Okay. Now Krishna is using the word here yogam aishwaryam, inconceivable mystic power. So Krishna's mystic powers are inconceivable. We cannot understand with our material senses, material calculations with a material brain, material mindset. We cannot understand Krishna. We cannot understand this knowledge. Okay. So that's why he's using the word yogam aishwaryam, inconceivable mystic power. What name of Krishna means that he is the master of all mystic power? What name of Krishna? Hmm?
Yogeshwar?
Yogeshwar, yes, perfect. Yogeshwar. So one of Krishna's names is Yogeshwar. It means that he's the master of all mystic powers. So he's saying that Yogam Aishwaram is the word that he's using. He's saying, just see my Yogam Aishwaram, my inconceivable mystic power. Okay, so how all living entities are in me, and at the same time, they are not in me. So just see my inconceivable mystic power, Krishna is saying. So then he says, although I'm the maintainer of all living entities, although I'm everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. So although he is everywhere, still he is not a part of this cosmic manifestation. Again, achintya, bheda, abheda, tattva. For myself is the very source of creation. He's saying, mamatma, bhuta, bhavana. I am the source of creation. So if somebody says that, but Lord Brahma is the creator, how come Krishna is saying that he is the source of creation? Isn't Brahma the creator? What are we going to say?
He's the secondary creator.
Exactly. He is the secondary creator. Krishna is the primary creator. So Krishna expands, and one of his expansions is Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu is breathing, and from his breathing, he's creating universes. Now, within the universe, there is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who is an expansion of Mahavishnu, and from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu comes Lord Brahma. So Brahma is creating the bodies, right? He is not Brahma. Lord Brahma is not creating the universes. He's creating the different bodies to accommodate the desires of different living entities. So Lord Brahma is a secondary creator, but Krishna is the primary creator. The Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 subject matters. 2 out of the subject matters of Sarga are Sarga and Visarga, primary creation and secondary creation. So yes, Lord Brahma is the creator, but he is the created creator. Let's read this.
Yes. 9.5. Krishna is everywhere, everything is in him, but still he is aloof. Yoga Aishwaram describes the inconceivable mystic opulences of the Lord. That is, everything that is created does not rest in me. It implies that although everything rests in him, still he is aloof and not directly concerned with maintenance, etc. Not like Atlas, tired of holding globe. B. How he is aloof. Examples of inconceivable opulences. Example, planetary systems floating in space, and space is the energy of the Lord, but he is different from space. Example, his potencies are exemplified by his determination, no difference between his mind and himself, because he is absolute spirit. All activities are performed just by his willing.
So Srila Prabhupada gives the example of how Krishna can get things done just by his Ichha Shakti, just by his desiring to get something done. It's not that he has to put in efforts and he's exerting himself and he's perspiring and he's carrying the globe on his shoulders and then he has this muscular body with a lot of muscle power. He has to uh, support the universe or the globe. That is not the concept of God. God means effortlessly, just by his Ichha Shakti, just by his desire, he can create, maintain, and he can destroy just by desiring. So there is no difference between his desire and the execution of his desire. So some examples of inconceivable potencies also Srila Prabhupada gives us, how planetary systems are floating in space. That space is the Lord's energy, but still that space is not Krishna, is different from Krishna. And same thing what we discussed, no difference between Krishna's mind and himself, because he's absolute spirit. All activities are performed just by his willing, just by his desire, just by his Ichha Shakti. When we did Damodar Leela, we discussed how when Mother Yashoda wanted to tie the ropes together, what was preventing the two ends from coming together were Krishna's potencies. Krishna has unlimited potencies, and his potencies were appearing one after the other, and those potencies were preventing the ropes from coming together. Now, Krishna's body is not expanding, right? He is of the same size. His belly is of the same size. Ropes are being added, but still the ropes are not coming together. Is because his shaktis, his potencies are coming in the way. His for example, his Kirti Shakti, his potency of fame, does not want Krishna to be bound, because what will happen to Krishna's fame, right? He's going to become infamous if he's going to be bound by an ordinary rope. So like that, all these potencies of Krishna were preventing Yashoda from bringing the ends together and tying him up. But there was one Shakti, one potency of Krishna that defeated all other potencies and allowed Yashoda to tie the ropes. What Shakti was that? We did this when we did the Damodar Leela class. Which is the one Shakti of Krishna that can defeat all other Shaktis, all other potencies.
Surrender.
So surrender. So what Shakti is that? We surrender, but what Shakti is that of Krishna? When we surrender, what happens? Krishna gives his
Mercy.
mercy. Yes, mercy. Mercy potency or Kripa Shakti. Krishna's Kripa Shakti defeated all other Shaktis and allowed Yashoda to tie the ropes. So anyway, this was just a side note. I think we went a little bit away from our subject matter. So, okay, so here are some examples of Krishna's inconceivable opulences. That's why he's using the word here, Yogam Aishwaryam, inconceivable mystic powers. So, Krishna is saying Yogam Aishwaryam, inconceivable mystic potencies. So we cannot understand, it is inconceivable, but still we want to understand. We still want to understand. So then how can we do it? We cannot understand by our gross material senses. So we have to spiritualize our senses. How can we spiritualize our senses? And how can we understand that which is achintya? Let us read the translation. Harman?
Yes, I was muted. CC Madhya 17.136. Should I read the
Yeah,
the
can you read
Sanskrit?
this? Yeah, can you read the Sanskrit?
I'll try.
Okay.
अतः श्रीकृष्ण नामादि न भावे ग्रहयम् इन्द्रियैः सेवो नुमुखे हि जीवादौ स्वयं एव स्फुरति अधः. Translation. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is.
So Ata Shri Krishna Nam Adi. So Krishna and other things like his name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes. Na bhavet grahyam. We cannot grahan. We cannot understand. We cannot absorb with our indriya, with our material senses. We cannot understand. But how we can understand? Sevon mukhe jivada. Jiva means the tongue. Okay. So sevan mukhe jivada. So the tongue has two functions. What are the two functions of the tongue? To eat and to speak. Of all the senses, our five senses, our gross material senses, the most difficult to control is the tongue. So many times we get into trouble because we say the wrong things. When we are angry, we say the wrong things, right? At the wrong time to the wrong person. So we get into trouble because we say the wrong things. It's very hard to control the urge to speak. And also it is very hard to control the urge to eat. How can we control these two urges? By chanting the name of the Lord, we control the urge to speak. By eating Krishna Prasad, we control the urge to eat. So by controlling the tongue in these two ways, then we can control all our other senses automatically. Okay, because everything else is in the straight line, no? The tongue and the genitals is in the same straight line. So when we control the urge to speak and eat, when we say the right things, when we use the tongue to chant the name of the Lord, and we eat the right things, when we eat Krishna Prasad, then automatically our genitals also are under control. So therefore, then we can understand. Then Sevon Mukhe Hi Jivada, then Swayam, then Krishna says, I will personally be manifest, I will become manifest. Spurati, I will become manifest. So then we can understand the Lord. So how to understand the inconceivable, how to make the inconceivable conceivable? Two very important things. Eat Krishna Prasad, chant the holy name. Then everything will become manifest. Everything will become manifest.
यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायुः सर्वत्र गोमहान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय.
Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me.
So now see, in 9.5, Krishna said, Yogam Aishwaryam, inconceivable mystic power. So you cannot understand, he says, by your gross material senses. But still, there will be people who would say, no, but I want to understand. I don't have the patience, I don't have the time to wait and render devotional service to understand this concept. So for such categories of people, to help them understand, Krishna gives an analogy in 9.6. What is the analogy he's giving here? So materially speaking, what is the biggest manifestation that one can think of? It's the sky. Nothing, we cannot think of something greater than the sky from what we see around us. The sky is the biggest manifestation. Now within the sky, what is the next biggest manifestation that one can think of is the wind. Yes. So he's comparing the sky to whom and the wind to whom in this analogy. Who can say?
The wind is the created beings, and me, that is Krishna, is the sky.
Exactly. Yes, perfect. So the wind is free to move in any direction. Yes. But at the same time, it is limited by the sky. It cannot blow beyond the sky. So to that extent, the wind is controlled. In the same way, we have minute independence. We are free to take our decisions. But to what extent we are not completely free? We do not have complete independence. We are still restricted by the Lord. So yes, the wind can blow, but it is still restricted by the movement is still restricted by the sky. In the same way, we have our independence, but we are not fully independent. We still have our control. We are still controlled by the Lord, and we have some minute independence. So by this analogy, Krishna is helping us understand how we have minute independence. At the same time, we are controlled by him. Okay, so in 4, 5, and 6, Krishna is basically talking about the maintenance of the material realm. Material world has 3 aspects: creation, maintenance, and destruction. 4, 5, and 6, he's spoken about his relationship with the maintenance aspect of the material realm. So he's talking about how he maintains and how the living beings are in him, are not in him. He is in the material world. He's not in the material world, all these aspects. So here he's talking about the maintenance aspect. Now in the next verse, Krishna will talk about creation and destruction. But before that, we have to read this text. Let's see.
Yes. Puppet 9.6. A. Krishna gives an analogy for Yogam Aishvaram. Analogy: sky and the wind. Sky is the biggest manifestation to conceive. In that sky, wind is the biggest conceive. Wind is great and influences all the movements, but wind is never beyond sky. It is always subordinate to the sky. All wonderful cosmic manifestations compared here to the movements of the wind exist by the will of the Lord compared to sky. Still, the Lord is aloof and unaffected, just like the sky is aloof and not affected by movements of the wind.
Let's go to 9.7.
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम् कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्.
Translation.
O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them. I can't read the lower part.
I create them again.
I create them again.
Okay. So at the end of millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. What is he speaking about here? End of millennium refers to
Destruction.
destruction. So when does destruction take place?
Kali Yuga.
At the end of Kali Yuga. That's it. At the end of every Kali Yuga, destruction takes place.
At the end of each yuga,
There is only one kind of, how many kinds of destructions are there, first of all? There is partial and complete destruction. Yes, we discussed this, right? Partial
When
destruction.
Mahavishnu breathes out?
Yes, when Mahavishnu breathes out, what happens? There is creation or there is destruction?
creation.
Creation.
And when he
Yes.
breathes in, there is a destruction. So,
Yeah.
is he talking about that?
Yes. So when Mahavishnu breathes in, that is every how many years? That is every how many years? That one breath
Every
of Mahavishnu.
100 Brahmas years.
100 Brahma years. Very nice, Harman. That was a cracker of an answer. So Brahma lives for 100 of his years, right? When Brahma's lifetime comes to an end, then there is complete destruction. And that's the time when Mahavishnu breathes in. Okay. So partial destruction takes place at the end of Brahma's day. Every time there is Brahma's night, there is partial destruction. But at the end of Brahma's life, there is complete destruction. So here Krishna is talking about complete destruction or partial destruction.
I think it is
I think it's complete.
complete.
Complete, yes, complete. What is he saying here? At the end of the millennium, which means at the end of Lord Brahma's life, all material manifestations enter into my nature. So where does all the material manifestation, all the universes, all the 14 planetary systems, all the demigods, all the jivas, all the living entities, including Lord Brahma, demigods, where do they go? Into the body of
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu. When he breathes in, everything is sucked into the pores of his body, right? And then at the beginning of another millennium, so again when he is breathing out, by my potency, I create them again. So everybody again, so they live in the body of Mahavishnu for millions of years. And then again, these living entities are again put forth, okay? And everybody is carrying on from where they left off. Just because they have entered the body of Mahavishnu doesn't mean that they have got mukti or they have got liberated, because Brahma's life may have come to an end, but that doesn't mean that all the living entities now deserve mukti or liberation. No, not everybody may deserve it, not everybody may desire it. So they remain compact in the body of Mahavishnu. And then when he breathes out, again, everybody carries on from where they left off in that previous lifetime. So here Krishna is saying, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So all these different kinds of bodies are coming into existence at the same time. These 8,400,000 different species are coming into existence at the same time. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport how the Vedic version does not accept the modern scientific version of the law of evolution. Because according to the law of evolution, one species has evolved into another species. But Vedic version is all the species have come into existence at the same time. Have come into existence at the same time. Let's read this.
Yes. At the end of millennium, this indicates the time of Brahma's death. At this time, all energy is wound up in the Lord Himself. At manifestation, He expands Himself in material energy. P. Refutes the modern concept of evolution. Modern concept. There is gradual evolution of species from one to another, beginning from creation. Our understanding of evolution based on this purport, all species of life are created immediately along with the universe at the beginning of creation, and not one after another based on desires and past deeds of living entities.
So what came first, the egg or the chicken?
The egg.
The egg came first. Does anybody else have an answer? How did the egg come without the chicken? Harman.
No, I thought, okay, yeah.
Anybody else wants to try to answer the question?
We discussed this before, but I forgot.
Yes, we discussed this before, but we have Kali Yuga memory.
Yes. Is it chicken? I don't know.
Okay, so how did the chicken come without the egg?
Lord just sent us like that.
The Lord just sent us without the egg, not the
As
chicken.
chickens. Yeah, it's a chicken.
Chicken?
Yeah, I think chicken. I don't know. I think it's chicken.
No, all living entities have come into existence on its own. So both came together. Okay, it's not that the egg evolved into the chicken and then chicken evolved into the egg. Everything has come into existence together. So based on what we have got this body, based on the desires and past deeds of the living entities. So we have a question. Bollywood asks this very famous question. We will hear the question. Okay. So, and then you give me the answer to the question.
दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाए
So
Raj
this is a
Kapoor
question from
Vaidyaran.
Bollywood. What is the answer?
Raj Kapoor Vaidyaran, ma'am.
Yeah, I see your Bollywood knowledge is very good, Naresh. So what is the answer to the question? But
Because we wanted to enjoy without God. We thought that we would be able to enjoy without under His protection.
exactly. So he has made this material world only to accommodate our desire, only to accommodate our desire, because it was our desire to enjoy independently from Krishna. We were all in the spiritual realm with him, but at some point the thought came to our minds that I would like to be Krishna. I would like to see what it is to become like Krishna. I would like to be independent from Krishna. I want to be the boss. I don't want to be the servant. I want to be the controller. I don't want to be the controlled, right? So the moment this thought comes to our mind, we have lost our spot in the spiritual realm and we are here in the material world. Because Krishna does not force any jiva, he does not force any living entity to stay with him, to serve him. Why again? Because our relationship with Krishna is based on love. And where there is love, there cannot be force. We cannot force someone to love us. We cannot hold someone at gunpoint and say, you have to love me. Say that you love me, right? Even if the person says it, you cannot force the person to love you at gunpoint. So love is something that cannot be forced. And our relationship with Krishna is based on love. So we have to desire to love him if we want to stay with him. If we don't have the desire, then Krishna says, okay, you want to see what it is to be independent, then go ahead and have the experience. Go ahead and experience it. And then again, when you have the desire to come back to me, then you can come back to me. So, kahe ko duniya banai? Only to accommodate our desires, he made this material realm. It's not that he was jobless, he had nothing to do. Why on earth did he do what he did? Why did he create all this? Well, it was only to accommodate our desires that he created. Let's go to 9.
प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्राममिमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात्
The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end.
So he's repeating the same point, and again he uses the word my will. By my will, everything is manifested, and by my will, it is annihilated again. So everything is going on under Krishna's cosmic order. Creation, destruction, maintenance, just by his Ichha Shakti, just by his desire, just by his will. Everything is created, everything is destroyed. Let's read.
Yeah. No direct involvement of the Lord. He does not himself create or destroy, but material nature acts by his desire. Text 9.8 points out to Krishna detachment, which implies Krishna has no direct involvement but acts through material nature. Basis of creation. Creation takes place to accommodate inclinations or the desires of the various living entities.
So basis of creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations or desires of the various living entities. So the body that we get is based on what we desire and also what we dash. What is that word?
Deserve.
Deserve. Yes, deserve and desire. Both things intertwine with each other to determine what kind of body we will get. Maybe we have the desire to go back to the spiritual world, but we do not deserve it. So we will not go there. And on the other side, we may deserve, but we do not desire. So the Lord is not going to force us to go back to the spiritual realm. So what we deserve and what we desire determines what kind of body we are going to get. 9.9.
न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु.
O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities. Seated, cannot you read the last?
Seated as though neutral.
As though neutral.
So Krishna here, he's saying that he is neutral. He is not attached. He is not bound by the laws of nature. He is beyond the karmic action and reaction. So he's completely detached. He is neutral. He cannot be bound by material rules and regulations. No curse here or there or anywhere can affect Krishna. In the Mahabharata, there was this famous curse that Krishna got, and people say, oh, actually Krishna had to depart because of the curse. What was the curse that he got? So-called?
But Gandhari gave him, no? Gandhari cursed him.
Yes, Gandhari cursed him that your Vanshaj, your future generations, everyone will be destroyed because you are responsible for the death of my sons. That was Gandhari's curse. Now, is Krishna going to be affected by anyone's curse?
No.
Yeah, Krishna is God. Who can curse him? And how is he going to be affected by anyone's curse? He's the one who's controlling all the planetary systems. All the stars and the planets are moving. The wind is blowing because of Krishna. What is a curse going to affect Krishna? But anyway, Krishna made use of, not made use of, but he accepted the curse because anyway, he wanted that all his family departs from the planet because there were so many of them. Krishna had how many wives?
16,108.
Yeah, he had 16,108 wives only because he is God. He can have 1,000,000 more. Now, how many children did he have?
16,108 times 11.
11. So why 11?
10 plus 1, no? 10 sons and 1 daughter.
Yes. So from each wife, he had 10 sons and 1 daughter. And when Krishna was leaving the planet, he had grandchildren and great-grandchildren also. So they were numerous in number, his dynasty. There were so many of them and they're all powerful like Krishna. So he thought that this would create havoc. No, so many people so powerful on the planet, and he preferred that everybody departs. So therefore, he created that Leela of where they got his family, they all got intoxicated and they fought with each other, and eventually they all killed each other and they all departed. Yes, and then we say that, oh, because of Gandhari's curse, this thing happened. No, actually Gandhari's curse or anyone's curse cannot affect Krishna, but he played this Leela and also kept the respect of Gandhari's curse. Okay, but actually it was his desire that everyone departs. So Krishna says that he is neutral to material activities, but still he has full control over minute details because he is entered into the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma, and also because his Shakti, his potency has pervaded everywhere in this material realm. We see how a small seed has the potency to grow into a full-fledged tree. That is Krishna's potency. Can that be done in a laboratory? Can that be done? Can anyone convert a seed to a big tree in a laboratory without the
No.
natural soil that is made available to us by Krishna? No, it cannot be done. So Krishna's potency we can see everywhere in this material realm. So he is there and yet he is not there. Again, Achintya, Bheda, Abheda, Tattva. Let's read this.
Yes. Focus of learning, purport 9.9. Udasinavat implies the Lord as neutral. Lord is always neutral in the material activities in the created world. Based on past deeds and desire, living entities take on different forms. Lord does not interfere. Material activities is carried out by his different potencies. Still, he has control over every minute detail. B. Analogy for neutrality. High court judge giving so many decisions, but he is neutral and unaffected with the gain and loss. D. Doesn't mean Lord has no engagement. He is always engaged in blissfulness pastimes in spiritual world. Reference Brahma Samhita 5.6.
So this Brahma Samhita 5.6 we will see in the next slide. And see this example that Srila Prabhupada has given in his purport. Analogy for neutrality. Just as how a high court judge, he gives so many decisions, but he is neutral. He is not affected by what somebody would gain or what somebody would lose by his judgment, whether the criminal or anybody connected to the criminal or somebody else is going to gain or lose from it. So he's neutral, but still he's the one who gives decisions. So like that, it's the Lord who is pulling the strings, but he's unaffected by the gain or loss, or rather he's unaffected by, let's say he doesn't interfere with our karma or the reactions of our actions. When we do an action, we have to take the reaction. So he does not interfere with that. Therefore, we say that we cannot escape our karma, but we can escape our karma by surrendering to Guru and Krishna. When we surrender to a bona fide, somebody in today's slot one we were discussing. So somebody brought up this question saying that when would it end? Because we are carrying forward the karmic reactions of the past millions of lifetimes we have. So when is it going to end? How much, when we chant constantly, when we are entering devotional service, as we chant more and more, as we render more and more devotional service, we are burning some part of karma. Yes, but still it's like a huge mountain. And again, we will carry forward the next lifetime and the next lifetime and the next lifetime and the next lifetime. How is it going to end? How are we going to bring it to zero? So when we surrender to the spiritual master, when we take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, the spiritual master absorbs our past karma. So at that time, our slate is wiped clean. At that time, our slate is wiped clean. And we promise to the Guru, now no more nonsense. Therefore, we tell him, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. So we are telling the Guru that, okay, we may have done or we may not have done, but we are promising that now no more. Doesn't matter what we did in the past. Yes, that's not important. But now we are promising that here onwards, I will no more engage in sinful life. And of course, chant 16 rounds minimum every day of the Hare Krishna mantra. So when we accept initiation of a bona fide spiritual master, then our slate is wiped clean. Otherwise, we will be carrying this burden on our shoulders. When I accepted initiation, my spiritual master, the next day, he asked me, so how do you feel? I told him that I feel very light. I don't know why. It feels as though I have lost a lot of weight or something like that. So he says, yeah, you're supposed to feel that way. And I asked him, why, Guru Maharaj? So he says, because the burden of your past karmic action and reaction, everything has been taken away your shoulders just like that in one moment. Everything is gone. So therefore, the disciple feels very light next day or after initiation. The disciple feels very light. We may not feel that, I mean, it's very subtle, okay? But it's an experience that you will definitely go through. When you take initiation, you will feel as though some burden has been taken off your shoulders, which we don't grossly feel, but it is there. It is there because we have accumulated so much karma, so many things we have done in the past, good or bad. So we have accumulated that over so many lifetimes. But when we accept a spiritual master, when we surrender to Guru, surrendering to Guru means we are surrendering to Krishna. We surrender to Krishna by surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master, because the spiritual master is the external manifestation of the Paramatma. The spiritual master is the external manifestation of the Paramatma. We cannot see the Paramatma, but we can see our spiritual master. So when we say that we have surrendered to Krishna, how do we surrender to Krishna? By surrendering to his bona fide representative. Okay. So does it mean that the Lord has no engagement? The Lord has nothing to do? No, the Lord is always engaged. So eternally he is engaged in pastimes with his devotees in the spiritual realm. So this reference in Brahma Samhita we will read here. Let's read this.
Focus of learning purport 9.9. Does it mean Lord has no engagement? He is always engaged in blissful pastimes in spiritual world. Evam jyotirmayo devaha sad anandaha parat paraha atma amara masya tasyasti prakritya na samagda. Brahma Samhita 5.6. The Lord Gokula is the transcendental supreme Godhead, the own self of eternal ecstasies. He is the superior of all superiors and is busily engaged in the enjoyments of the transcendental realm and has no association with his mundane potency.
So see, Lord Brahma, he's saying this in the Brahma Samhita, how the Lord is busily engaged in the enjoyments of the transcendental realm. So God is that personality who is only enjoying. God means he enjoys. God is not someone who is stressed out and he's bored and he has nothing to do. Therefore, he created all these things and it just occurred to him to do something. Therefore, no, that's not the concept of God. God means he's eternally enjoying loving transcendental pastimes with his devotees. That is the concept of God. So creation, all this is done by his expansions, by his Icha Shakti. He's creating an expansion, and then his expansions are doing the job of creation, maintenance, and destruction, and all those things. He doesn't have to exert himself. He is busily engaged in loving pastimes with his devotees. So in Goloka, eternally, those loving pastimes are going on. He is playing with the gopis, with the gopas. He's sharing the lunch boxes. They are riding on his back. He is riding on their back. So this is eternally going on in Goloka. It's not that God was jobless and something occurred to him, therefore he created this world. No, that's not the concept of God. Okay, let's read this article by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu.
Yes, Krishna is disinterested but not uninterested. Disinterested without a vested interest. Uninterested, not showing interest. Krishna is disinterested. He is not partial to anyone. He doesn't have any vested interest in promoting anyone or demoting anyone. Whenever people are promoted or demoted, that's due to their own karmic actions. He is immensely interested in all living beings. Why else would he accompany us or as the super soul and accompany us lifetime after lifetime in our journeys through miserable material existence? His interest is not that of an over vigilant overseer to catch people doing wrong. His interest is that of a tireless parent striving for the return of his lost children. He doesn't just await but accompanies his prodigal son. Indeed, who can be more interested in us than him? Chaitanya Charan Das.
So Krishna is disinterested, but at the same time, he is immensely interested in the well-being of all living entities. Just as how a loving parent, when the child grows up, the child wants to take his own decisions. So the parent doesn't interfere with the decisions of the child. But at the same time, the parent is very much interested to make sure that the child is happy, right? So he does take interest, but he does not interfere with the free will. Let's read this.
The verdict comes from the judge, but is not caused by the judge. Sinful living entity is like a robber. Material nature is like the police. Krishna is like the judge. The judge gives the verdict based on which the police imprisons the robber. Still, the judge is not the cause of the verdict. The robber's misdeed is. People ignorantly blame God for the reactions that come upon them as just karmic dues of their action. The Gita 5.15 categorically stresses that he is not responsible for anyone's right or wrong actions. By accepting responsibility for our actions and their reactions, we can take the initiative to act auspiciously. Just as a law abiding citizen is not penalized but is protected by the judge, so too are devotees engaged in devotional service protected by Krishna as they progress towards supreme liberation.
So Krishna is compared to the judge. The decision is coming from the judge, but it is not caused by the judge. Who's responsible for the decision that the judge takes? It's the action of the robber. Because he chose to rob, therefore the judge has given a judgment. So we cannot blame Krishna for our suffering. So this will be the last 9.10. Let's see.
मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते.
This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and sorry, again, I cannot read the last.
Okay, is created and annihilated again and again. So Krishna is saying this material nature is working under my direction. Everything in material nature is under the direction of Krishna. Nothing can exist without Krishna. So does the bad also come from Krishna?
No.
So then how can the bad exist without Krishna? So what we see here in the material realm is a perverted reflection of what there is in the spiritual realm. Is a perverted reflection. Now, reflection means what? Whatever is there in the original only can be there in the reflection. The reflection cannot have something that is not there in the original. Yes, but the reflection is inverted. So therefore, what exists here in the material realm is a perverted reflection of what exists in the spiritual realm. So what is lust here is love in the spiritual realm, but here it has got perverted. So the reflection is inverted here. This is how we have to understand. So nothing can exist independently of Krishna. Everything that is here must be also there. Everything that is in the material realm must also be there in the spiritual realm. Nothing can exist independently from Krishna. Okay. So this material nature, which is one of my energies, is moving under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. So chara and achara. Chara, achara, moving and non-moving. So which are the moving entities? Which are the chara and achara? Which are the moving entities and the non-moving entities?
All the living entities are moving and the non-living objects are Achara.
So we are living or non-moving entities.
Chara.
And animals and birds,
Chara also.
fishes,
Chara.
insects,
Chara.
trees and plants.
Chara.
No,
They
trees
also
and
move.
plants are achara. Trees and plants are achara. They cannot move. They are in the same spot. Okay. So chara and achara means living and moving. I'm sorry, moving and non-moving entities. So non-moving entities are the trees and the plants. They cannot move. So whether one is living or moving or non-moving, everything is working under the direction of Krishna. Okay, so creation and annihilation again and again is taking place under the direction of Krishna.
But they are
So,
also growing, no?
yes,
Growing
there
is
is,
not.
yes, there is
Also.
life.
Mhm.
Yes, there is life. It's moving and non-moving. Non-moving doesn't mean that they don't have life. It means that they cannot move. Move
Okay,
means,
okay.
like walk like that. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada gives an analogy to understand this connection that Krishna has with the material world, how it's connected and not connected at the same time. Let's read this analogy.
When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with the material world, but he creates by his glance and audience. In summary, material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything. Yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. Srila Prabhupada, BG 9.10 pulpit.
So the flower has a certain fragrance, and a person, when he smells the flower, the fragrance of the flower is touched by the person. At the same time, they are separate. The fragrance is touched by the person when the person is smelling the flower, but at the same time, the fragrance of the flower is not touched by the smelling power of that person. So this is Krishna's connection with the material realm. He is there, and at the same time, he is not there. He is connected, at the same time, he is detached. He is attached, at the same time, he is detached. So achintya, bheda, abheda, tattva. So we have to understand that Krishna has two aspects, no? Opulence and sweetness. So we missed a slide here. Let's see if we have anything here. Oh, there is. Let's see here. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He says that he is the cause of creation, destruction, and then he's a supreme controller. He's saying that everything is moving because of him. He's a supreme proprietor. Everything is coming from him. He creates everything. He is a supreme enjoyer. Nobody can enjoy independently from Krishna. So these are the four principal features of the Lord. So this is Krishna's opulence. This is Krishna's opulence. So therefore, people, when they say, somebody may say that Krishna is immoral. He is dancing with the gopis. He is stealing. We are always taught in school that we should not rob, we should not steal. But Krishna is stealing. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is stealing, right? Or sometimes people say Krishna is a failed politician. He failed to stop the war. He was not able to prevent the war from taking place. Like that. So people accuse Krishna of so many things. But the point is, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's beyond all these rules and regulations. So this is the opulence feature of the Lord. But the beauty is that Lord, that supremely opulent Lord, can come under the control of his devotees. That is the sweetness aspect of Krishna. That is the good news for all of us. That Lord, that undefeatable Lord, can be brought under control by the power of, by the bhakti shakti of his devotees. So there are two aspects, opulence and sweetness. For his pure devotees, the sweetness aspect completely overpowers the opulence aspect. But it is also important to understand the opulence of Krishna, because if we don't understand the opulence of Krishna, then we will take the sweetness for granted. We may think that, oh, Krishna is stealing butter, he's afraid of Yashoda's stick, that even my child in the house is scared. If I show him the stick, he's going to get scared of me. He also likes to sometimes secretly eat some nice things in the house. So we may think that he's an ordinary child. He's just an ordinary child. But when we understand the opulence of the Lord, then the sweetness, we will value the sweetness of the Lord even more, because this is that person who was able to lift the Govardhan hill. This is that person who was effortlessly able to kill so many demons one after the other. This is that person who could uh, what do you call it? He created an eclipse-like effect to save Arjuna on the battlefield, right? So he's able to control so many things, and that supreme controller is actually a chariot driver on the battlefield. So then we will appreciate. Otherwise, we will think, oh, he's just a chariot driver of Arjuna. You see, so then the sweetness we will take for granted. To make the sweetness even more sweet, we have to understand the opulence aspect of Krishna. Okay, let's read this last slide.
Yes. Our mind tells us only one version of reality when there are actually multiple versions of it. Mind tells us work, earn money, enjoy. It fails to tell us there is something else happening parallelly. Body strength is declining, we are losing time, getting closer to death. It only tells us the tiny little bit where it thinks it can enjoy, but that is linear style. Krishna explains in 9.10 that material nature follows a cy- cyclical style. If one starts at point A and has to come back at the same point uh, again, then what is the use of acquiring so many things on the way? Intelligence is to understand how to break the cycle and come out of it completely. If we are not aware of the cyclical style of the material world, we will think we have unlimited time. One must find a balanced approach, balance both material and spiritual needs.
So when Krishna says that again and again creation and destruction takes place, what does it mean? He's trying to tell us that it's happening in a cycle. There is creation, there is destruction, again there is creation, again there is destruction. So this thing is going on in a cyclical fashion. So anything that you see materially, everything is cyclical. Everything. Change of seasons, it is cyclical. Yes, you have summer, winter, then again summer, and then again winter. So change of seasons is cyclical. Our cycle of birth and death, there is birth, then there is death, then again there is birth, then again there is death. So birth, the cycle of birth and death. Then what else is cyclical? What else? The yugas, there is Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. Again the cycle starts. Again there is Satya Yuga, again there is Treta Yuga, again there is Dwapara Yuga, again there is Kali Yuga. So everything here is a cycle. Okay, but our mind does not tell us. Our mind tells us that what's happening around us is not cyclical, but it is linear. It's like that straight line. You can see it will go on and on forever. We think that our life we will go on and on forever. Therefore, we keep bhakti for later. Okay, we'll keep it for later. We will now focus on making money. I want to earn, I want to work hard, I want to secure my future, and then I will enjoy the money that I have saved. That is one aspect. Okay, we need to have financial security to secure our future. That's fine. But that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that we have to focus on. Because yes, as we work hard, as we earn money, what is happening parallelly? We are losing our vigor, we are losing our strength, we are growing old. So when we think that we will enjoy that money, we probably do not have the health, the strength, the vigor to enjoy the money the way we thought that we will enjoy. So the mind is not telling us the other aspect of reality. The mind is only telling us one aspect of reality where we can enjoy. That's it. But we have to remember that life is a cycle. Everything follows a cycle. So birth, death, disease, and old age. I mean, birth and death. This is a cycle that is going to go on and on forever. So if we start at point A, and in that circle, as we progress, we are accumulating so many things. We are accumulating wealth, or we are working hard to become famous, or we are working hard to become very, very beautiful, very good looking. We have accumulated so many followers. But after doing all that hard work, and we are again at the point of death, everything is taken away from us, and we have to start all over again. We have to again start earning money. We have to again start working on becoming famous. We have to again start working on our education. Then what is the point? What is the point? So intelligence is to balance both material and spiritual. Not that we prioritize our material needs now and keep spiritual for later. No. Parallelly, we have to take care of both. Material duties we have to fulfill. At the same time, we have to take care of our spiritual needs. Okay, so when Krishna talks again and again, every time it's annihilated again and again, Krishna says, no, a creation and destruction takes place again and again. So he's indicating to us that everything is a cycle. It's not linear. It's not going to go on forever. So we have to take care of this aspect. So we'll stop here. We'll continue in the next class. In the next class, we begin with the next section where Krishna is talking about who can understand Krishna in various ways. See, here Krishna has spoken about some extremes. Okay, let's first summarize this section here. Let's read this.
Yes. Aishwarya Jnana, Krishna's relationship to the material world. Krishna pervades, creates, and annihilates entire cosmos through his material energy. Although he is the supreme director, yet the material world nevertheless moves independently, and Krishna thus remains neutral and detached, absorbed in him. One goes back to Godhead regardless of his position.
Okay, so the extremes that I was talking about is actually here in the beginning of this chapter. So we'll discuss that when we come here in the next class. But here, after reading section 2, one may think that, okay, so if Krishna is a controller, he's the maintainer, and he's a destroyer, then why everybody does not accept Krishna? Why do people do not accept him? So then Krishna will answer this in section 3. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Do we have any questions?
Sorry,
Mataji.
we become late. Adhikatar Prabhu's class is there. Please forgive us, Prabhuji. Mataji, koti koti dandat pranam.
Okay,
We hear
Mataji.
attentively your recording class, Mataji. Please
Thank
forgive me, Vani.
Thank you, Mataji, for your association. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Mehak, you were saying something?
Mataji, you were mentioning about the pastime of Krishna, or not the pastime, but in Dwapar Yuga when he departed because his family was big and he had extended family, and you mentioned that he created this type of situation when they started intoxicating or fighting with each other. And so why Krishna opted for bloodshed then? Why he could have also made his extended family to depart naturally, like why he opted for that then?
Yeah, so that's a Leela. No, Krishna has to show how they left the planet, what caused that destruction, what caused the so-called destruction of his dynasty. So how he will show that? For those who understand materially, because Gandhari, he wanted to respect Gandhari's curse also. So Gandhari's curse was that your vanshaj, your family, your descendants will be completely destroyed. So something has to cause the destruction. So he played out this Leela.
So in one class you can explain this Leela? In
Okay,
one, like
okay.
some
So
class?
So what we can do is I can send you the chapter. You can read the entire chapter from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then if you
Okay.
have any questions, we can discuss. Okay.
Okay, Mataji. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. What else do we have to discuss? So Sri Hari Radha Mataji, next time you can read if you like. What we normally do is in the beginning of the class, we ask for 2 volunteers and then those 2 volunteers read for the rest of the class. This is the format that we normally follow, Mataji. Okay.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mataji. I love reading in your class, and that's fine. I came late because I didn't know. I don't think I'm getting anything from you guys.
Are you in the group slot 2?
I am not sure.
I think I added you to the group last time, no?
What is the name of this class?
Gita study group.
Okay, I have to go check. If it says yes, then I am in the group.
Yes.
So I'll just
Yes. Yeah, please check it. It's called Gita study group slot 2. So there I put it out one day before, usually, the link for our class.
Gita study group. No, I am not added to this number. Let me see the other number.
Okay. This is a number that I got from, was it Shiva?
Oh yeah, see, it's right here.
You
Gita
have it?
study group slot 2. Yes, I see it. Yes. I'm
Yes.
so sorry. I guess I didn't check it.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
I cannot hear you now, Sri Hari Radha Mataji.
1 second. The last thing I have is Prabhupada Diksha, some audio, something like that. But yeah.
Yes. Before that, the link is there for today's class.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. So this class is every Saturday, right?
Yes, that's right. Every Saturday, same time.
All right. Thank you so much, Mataji.
You're
Hare
welcome,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I'll take your leave. We will end now at 7 p.m. almost. So see you all next Saturday, Krishna willing. Till then, have a nice week. Thank you all very much. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.